Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight for 23 ABC News at 5. I'm Jessica Harrington. Tonight's top stories: COVID-19 cases and deaths continuing to rise in Kern County today. We'll tell you how many have tested positive and how many have died here at home. Plus, trailers unveiled at the fairgrounds to combat the outbreak in regards to people who can't isolate themselves. What officials said today about these trailers. 23 ABC News at 5 starts right now. Good evening. The spread of coronavirus continues to grow each day in Kern County. Now, local health officials are reporting the third death as the number of cases grows to more than 330 today. Kern County Public Health confirming the third death this afternoon. Local officials also now reporting 337 cases in Kern County. Of those cases, 330 are residents, 7 are non-residents. Public Health also says more than 6,000 tests have been administered. More than 3,300 people have tested negative, while nearly 2,400 tests are still pending. And we are also continuing to track the storm that has brought record-breaking amounts of rainfall in Bakersfield over the past few days. Just yesterday, Bakersfield got a little more than 0.6 of an inch, breaking the old record that was set in 1945. 23 ABC's meteorologist Allison Gargaro has more on those record-breaking numbers and what you can expect tonight. Allison?
That's right, Jess. We have seen 2 consecutive days of that record-breaking rainfall right here in Bakersfield. One was yesterday and the other was on Tuesday. And it looks like we could be nearing record-breaking rainfall today, but unfortunately it doesn't look like we will be getting there. So let's talk about what we saw on April 7th. More than 9/10 of an inch of that rain. That beat the previous record that was set back in 1967. But since Sunday, Bakersfield, the airport, has seen more than 2.5 inches of rain. Areas in Tehachapi more than 1.5 inches, and Porterville did see more than 2 inches of rain as well. And those are numbers as of 3:13 this afternoon. But as you can see, more rain is expected across the region. For us here in the valley in Bakersfield, looking at just light showers continuing throughout the overnight hours, but it looks like the heaviest rain is going to be falling in the Kern County desert, as well as that snow in the mountains. Taking a look at our camera out in Pine Mountain Club, they're going to be seeing some of that snow falling at this hour, but we continue to track a winter storm warning. I have more details on just how much longer that will be in effect and what that means for your Friday forecast coming up next.
Kern County is now relying on the fairgrounds to play a vital role in the fight against the coronavirus, now that 15 state-owned trailers have been set up on the grounds to help quarantine the homeless. 23 ABC's Tori Cooper was at the Kern County Fairgrounds where public health officials unveiled the trailers. She has details on how they will be used.
Yeah, I'm standing inside of one of just 15 trailers that made their way right here to Kern County this week. As you can tell, it's very cozy in here. They have a seating area, they have a kitchen, as well as a bathroom and a queen-size bed. Now, public health officials say that these are solely for those who cannot self-isolate and need a quarantine area.
The individuals who come here have COVID.
As the fight to contain the COVID-19 virus continues, the Kern County Fairgrounds is now the new site for a temporary housing solution for individuals who live outside, along encampments or crowded shelters. A group health officials say are the most vulnerable to COVID-19 and need a place to isolate.
Referrals will be sent out here. The individuals will be picked up from a hospital or from another medical clinic and be transported out here. And so it is a referral-only basis location.
Health officials say those who have COVID-19 that no longer need care but still need a place to go will be referred to the fairground site by doctors from local hospitals.
No nurses will be here. A medical assistant will be here to provide care and awareness. Again, this is not a medical treatment area. This is an isolation area.
All trailers are hooked up to power, water, sewage, and will be sanitized before and after a person moves. Kern medical aides will be delivering meals to patients 3 times a day, but no visitors or pets are allowed. Transwest Security Company will be responsible for monitoring this area that was made possible by state and grant funding.
I hope to have this open as soon as tomorrow.
Health officials say they estimate at least 5 patients with COVID-19 will start isolating here by Friday. After all 15 are filled up, other patients will be placed on a waiting list, but patients will not be able to depart until their symptoms subside.
At a minimum 7 days post the onset of symptoms, they must be fever-free with no fever-reducing medication for 72 hours. If you kind of wanted to guess a number, it's probably approximately 2 weeks.
And they encourage everyone to keep a safe distance from this area, as this is solely for those who cannot self-isolate. But for now, from the Kern County Fairgrounds, I'm Tori Cooper for 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Wonderful Citrus telling 23 ABC a temporary employee who had not been on site in more than 14 days at its Delano location tested positive for COVID-19. The company released a statement on the development. They wrote, quote, "We have been in touch with local health officials and have taken immediate steps recommended by them and the CDC, which include thoroughly cleaning and disinfecting the entire facility and screening all employees for any signs of illness." They also added that employees who may have been in contact with the employee have self-quarantined and are not reporting to work. Dreyer's Bakersfield facility has also confirmed that one employee has tested positive for COVID-19. Officials also said the employee hadn't been at the facility for several days prior to testing positive. The company said it is following CDC guidance and taking steps to safeguard their employees, as well as thoroughly cleaning and disinfecting the facility to limit the risk of exposure to the virus. The U.S. government says another 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week as the coronavirus pandemic continues to take its toll on the economy. It was the second largest number of initial unemployment claims in U.S. history since tracking started in 1967. The highest was the previous week at 6.8%. Workers continue to suffer from devastating job losses, furloughs, and reduced hours connected to the pandemic. Altogether, more than 16 million American workers have filed unemployment claims in the last 3 weeks. Many people were expected to receive the much-awaited stimulus payouts. That's according to Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. The first payout is estimated to cover at least 50 million Americans. Those who received this first round of payouts are those who have already given their bank account information to the IRS, as well as Social Security beneficiaries who filed a federal tax return with direct deposit information. We want to turn now to state news. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tony Thurmond has announced new guidance to help essential workers with getting childcare. Thurmond said the California Department of Education and Department of Social Services issued new guidance. It will not only help essential workers with childcare for their children, but also for children at risk of abuse or neglect and children with disabilities. It was a requirement from Governor Gavin Newsom's executive order issued this past weekend. It addresses how they priority the rollout, as well as how child care programs and providers can safely provide care. The number of hospitalized patients in California who have tested positive for COVID-19 continues to rise. However, for the first time since the state began tracking data, the amount of COVID-19 patients requiring care in intensive care unit beds decreased. Governor Gavin Newsom said during his press briefing today that there are 1,132 patients who have tested positive for COVID-19 in ICU beds. But it was a decrease of 1.9% from the 1,154 patients around the state yesterday. The government does warn that this statistic is not a trend at this time.
One data point is not a trend. One data point is not a headline. So I caution anybody to read too much into that one point of data. But nonetheless, it is encouraging, and it just again reinforces the incredible work that all of you are doing to practice physical distancing.
The governor added he would continue to monitor ICU numbers closely over the next several days to see if it continues. He also added the statewide death toll has reached 492. Governor Newsom also announced a new program to provide doctors, nurses, and other critical frontline healthcare workers access to no-cost or low-cost hotel rooms. The program will prioritize healthcare workers who come in contact with or are suspected of having contact with COVID-19 patients. President Donald Trump and the coronavirus task force held a news briefing earlier today to address the latest developments of the pandemic. The president announcing the accuracy of the test in the U.S.
I'm reporting today that we passed 2 million tests completed in the United States, first time. Most anywhere in the country. It's a milestone for our country. It's a milestone anywhere. Nobody's done anywhere close. Our tests are highly sophisticated and highly accurate.
The president also addressed the state of the economy. He said in his opinion, the economy is doing very well in spite of the pandemic. Dr. Anthony Fauci also added that while there's been an increase in deaths around the U.S., there's also been a decrease in need for hospitalizations. Drug and alcohol rehab is a place where people can go to get the help they need. But during this outbreak, things have changed. 23 ABC's Austin Westfall spoke with the owner of one center to see how they're adjusting.
It's not easy for anyone with addiction to work through their issues, but luckily in-person AA meetings and therapy sessions have helped. But ever since this coronavirus pandemic, those options are becoming less available. Most of them are moving online.
Let's not forget, before this pandemic, we had an epidemic. We had almost 60,000 people dying every year in this country from substance abuse.
Kerry Quashen is the owner of Action Rehab Centers, and he says there's two main types of people they treat for substance abuse. One, people who get depressed, stay alone indoors, and drink or use. And two, social addicts who compulsively go out and party. Both groups are being hit hard by the coronavirus's unprecedented impact on the world.
People don't even know what to do with themselves if they don't drink or use. Now take somebody that's been using alcohol or drugs for coping. What are they going to do now? Use more alcohol and drugs.
And Governor Gavin Newsom even acknowledging substance abusers during Tuesday's press briefing.
They're prone to doing things that aren't healthy. They may be drinking more than they should.
Action Rehab has seen an increase in calls for help since the pandemic started. Quashen saying now is an important time for those with a history of substance abuse to practice good habits, like eating healthy and exercising. He says a select few of Action's programs are still available in person, but they are all moving towards Zoom.
There is still programs. We are still out there. There's lots of programs still open and ready for your call. So you don't have to do this alone, and I know it's scary.
Quashen says he expects a flood of people to come in for treatment once this pandemic is over. That's because there's a lot of people struggling now, and they're going to need the help once they can get it. For now in Bakersfield, Austin Westfall, 23 ABC, connecting you.
The Kern High School District will be consolidating food services in areas where multiple schools are currently distributing food. Starting this upcoming Tuesday, meal service will cease at Centennial High School, East High, Highland High, Foothill High, Liberty High, and Ridgeview High until further notice. Officials also say meals will no longer be served on Fridays. Students will get 2 extra meals for a total of 4 meals during Thursday's distribution. In the coming weeks, grab-and-go breakfasts and lunch meals will be provided to children ages 2 to 18 from 11 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. Mondays through Thursdays. For a list of the school sites, head to our website, turnto23.com. Imagine missing Target so much that you decide to build a replica of your own. Tonight, a local family shares how they're making it in Kern County. Their family bonding project turned into creating not just one, but 2 of their favorite businesses. 23 ABC sat down with the family to discuss why and how they built their favorite stores.
Mila loves running to Target, and every time we go to Target, she sees Starbucks there. So we decided to incorporate our little Starbucks stand as well.
So cute. Tonight at 6, we're going to take you inside the family's home and show you all the details of their tiny stores and how local businesses help their family put the finishing touches on to make everything perfect. Again, that's coming up tonight at 6.